Hello, everyone. My name is Kashawn Hopkins. I'm an instructional technology specialist from Oklahoma Public School Resource Center. And today we're going to cover Quizizz, a bit of a fan favorite. I think it warranted revisiting to look at some of the updates. It's been about 2-ish years since the last time we've talked about it. It was around the time when I first started the Tech Talk. So a little bit has changed here and there, and I'm hoping to point out some of those new features that are there. So the assumption is that you're already familiar with Quizizz. If you haven't, if this is the first time as you're watching this, I highly recommend that you check out my first Quizizz Tech Talk, which I'll refer to that in a little bit. Before I get too far, I'm joined here with my colleague once again. I think you should get to know him, and yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Kurt Bernhardt. I'm the Director of Technology for OPSRC. Kashawn and I make up the technology team here. We're ready to help you with any type of technology needs you have, from internet coming into the building to technology in the students' hands. Just let us know. Kashawn will tell you how.
I would say that the best way to get in contact with both of us actually is through the tech team email here. You shoot it out to techteam@opsrc.net. Gives me and Kurt a little something, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as we can. Moreover, I have a copy of the slides. I've updated some of the resources that are in there. And so if you want access to any of that, I have the link right here. I'm going to read it out since it's case sensitive. So this will be lowercase t period ly / lowercase u f uppercase a r. Or if you're viewing this through a recording, you can also get access to the Tech Talk website, which is opsrc.net / Tech Talks. If you click on that, or if you go to that, you can see at the top of the screen we have our upcoming Tech Talks. You can register for those if you like what I'm doing here. It's accessible through here. I have more Tech Talks coming up. In the middle of the page, we have a button where you can suggest a future tech topic or tool. And at the bottom, we have the archive Tech Talk. So this is the bulk of the page here where you can see the other Tech Talks that I've done, from things like technology standards to tech integration models to special interest topics to the majority of these would be individual technology tools. And here we are, the very first Quizizz back in May 27th. So if you have no idea what it is, I highly recommend that you go and check that one out. And each one of these has a recording and a set of slides. So you should also want to check out the slides as well. But for this Quizizz, I believe last time I did just a basic quiz. I set it up and we ran through that as an example. This time I want to showcase what's possible inside of a lesson. So this is something that you can choose to do inside of the classroom and have students follow along with like a set of Chromebooks or iPads. Quizizz works really well with different handheld tools. Or you can assign this actually as homework as well. So if you're in a distance learning type situation, this is perfect for this scenario here. So I'm going to swap over to a lesson, which is already set up over here. I've cheated a little bit. And I've already prepped my table here. You can also join me if you would like to, anybody that's here. On the top right-hand corner, you can see that you would join the way that you typically would, which is through the website address joinmyquiz.com, and then you enter the game code. Additionally, keep in mind that you can also share a link out as well. So you can copy paste that. Like if you're all inside of a Zoom, you can kick that out, or you can kick it out to Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, Remind, Twitter, either one of these things. Now, there is integrations for Canvas and Schoology, but that is locked inside of district plans. I'm going to be using the free version of the account once again, but I'm hoping sometime in the future, hopefully, I'll be able to show off some of those premium features. So let's keep that in mind. Don't forget about while you were doing the lesson in class, you have a couple of features, like for example, in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the volume, which I'm going to make sure it's muted. You can also kick this in the full screen, either by clicking the full screen button down here at the bottom of the minimize screen or pressing the F key. Just gives you a little bit more real estate. I think this works really nicely if you're using like a smart board of some sort or projector. And then of course, there's the end of the session, but let's get myself started here. I'm going to pull my phone out. Here we go. So let's kick this in here. So this works very similarly to Nearpod. If you've used Nearpod before, the functionality is a lot of the same. You're in control of the slides. You got the remote control, and the students are the ones that when there are activity slides come up, they can interact with this. You can also see on the bottom left-hand part of the screen, you can tap on raise your hand and you can say I need help or I need more time. And then it shoots that over to me. You see I got a little notification on the bottom right-hand corner of my screen on students that need help on here. So quite useful. There's also a little tour here, but I'm going to click skip here so you can close that out. And you can always see if a student is joining late. Of course, the functionality is the same as you would for a quiz. You have the code here. You got the copy paste. It's pretty straightforward stuff. On the bottom right-hand corner is your remote control. You can click, or you can also use the direction keys, but if you click left and right, we'll switch between the slides and you see that it syncs up with what's on your phone or however you are connected to here. So you can see this update at the same time. So pretty nice, especially if you're using it in the class or you're doing it through a Zoom window. Now, here is a activity slide here. You have a question. It's an open response, so you can use whatever device that you have on here. So I'm going to say is the numerator on the top and the bottom of the fraction. I'm going to say top. Tap that. And you can see that I've responded on here. If you want to view the question here, you can click full question view, and it will give you the same view as you would pretty much for the students view on there. So pretty nice. On the right-hand side, you can also click on participants view. That way you can see who has done it at a glance. All done, fantastic. And I can see the answers that everybody get. Pretty awesome. And then you can have a nice little conversation with your class using that as an example. You got a couple of buttons that you can click on. Like, for example, you have your slides, so you can see all of them. There's some interactive things like these colored buttons down here. I've already showed you the raised hand button. Let me close those slides. But you can also click on live whiteboard, which is pretty cool. So that way, if I need to make any annotations here, I can highlight things. I can choose a drawing tool, change the color here. I can erase my mistakes there, or I can clear the canvas, no problem. I can even click the top left-hand corner to allow participants to draw on their screens as well. And you can see, and I think this is quite good because if you have like a specific problem and you want people to like work it out on their screens, you can see on the left-hand side is the live whiteboard that I'm using, and you can see the whiteboards that everybody else is using as well. I can even switch around. If I want to highlight, maybe one of the students has a really good answer, or the way that they explain something is really good, I can click and switch between that, no problem. So really nice live whiteboarding features there. Let me drop that with the end button, top right-hand corner there. And one last thing, it's always nice to have a little spin the wheel situation where you can get a random person to interact here. There's only 2 students on here, so it switches between us, but you can see very dramatic stuff there. Cool, we got a student. Yay, you're the winner, Gert. And then I can return to my lesson and move on. And yeah, so that's the basic idea of going through these. You can embed videos on here as well. You can throw in questions. It's pretty interactive. So let me show you in a little bit how to jump into this, how to set up one of these up yourself if you haven't done so already. Because if you've only been using this for the quiz part, you're missing out on a good chunk of the features here. Okay. Let me get some housekeeping business out of the way. My objective for this Tech Talk is after this Tech Talk, educators will be able to integrate quizzes into their classroom to help students remediate and extend their learning. A little bit of overview, and then we're going to jump just straight into the showcase where I just jump into the tool and start messing with it. And that will be the majority of our time here. So the overview is just a quick definition, just in case somebody asked you what Quizizz is. I'd say it's an interactive quiz tool. I think this is really good for formative assessment, and there are some reporting features I think can really help inform your instruction from there so you can get the most use out of this tool. Some features that it has, they have updated homepage resources. I'm going to spend a little time on that, and I've also included some links inside of the new Quizizz 2 goodies. There is the dashboard. They've added extra filtering. And new icons for the subjects and the templates that you have there. So I think it's really easy to find new content. Even if you don't know exactly what you're looking for, you can just look through some of the subjects and then go from there and see what's out there. Of course, there's the live lesson that's still available to you, and you can insert a bunch of different question types. They have a couple of more. A lot of them are unfortunately locked inside of the premium feature package, but you can still get through quite a bit with it, with the free stuff. And you can invest if you really do like the product there. For lessons, you can import from Google Forms or slides. So if you've already created something very much like these slides here, you can take whatever slides you've already created and just insert activities inside them just to make them a little bit more engaging there. I've already mentioned the different slide types and the different question types that you have there. You have 5 for free, and I believe there's 5 or 6 other ones. We'll see in a little bit. They have added more templates, more themes, so you can swap between them. And something to keep in mind in terms of restrictions for the free account is if you set a due date for any of your lessons, you only have a 2-week length span restriction there. So keep that in mind. It's a little hard to plan too far ahead using Quizizz, but I think if you're just using this as sort of a formative assessment or just as an engagement so students have something to work on homework-wise, or you're doing distance learning, I think this combines really well with all of those. With that, we have plenty of time to jump on into Quizizz and frolic a bit here in some of the new features. And I actually want to start in, let me log out real quick, with the home page that they've redesigned. I think it gives you a pretty good idea of what the tool is about if you haven't seen it already. But one thing that I especially want to highlight is the resource tab, completely new, that they've added on here. I think these are all worth taking a look at, especially since they have their own certified educator. So if you like having badges as a part of your email on there, you can have access to those quizzes, and it's really kind of a short training that you can go through to get that. But training and blog, these two, I think, are quite useful. They are chock full of goodies in here. So I'm going to click on training. You have a couple of different articles that are attached to here, from Quick Start if you need to review anything, to full-on learning paths, to on-demand resources. So you can get a lot of specific training videos that I think are quite useful if you're looking for PD here. And it also connects you to some of the other resources that are also in here, but I mean, it's down here at the bottom of the page though. Yeah, there's some great stuff inside of here that I think is worth unpacking. The other thing is blog here. And they have a couple of recommended resources here at the top of the page, but where I think a lot of the magic will happen is right over here where you see these different filters. So you have things like tips and resources. You have educator stories, which I love these because they give you really specific examples on how this tool is going to be used, really practical examples. And also they have EdTech trends, so you can see like how this tool can be used in the future, and also case studies, which I think is great if you want to look at this tool in terms of how are whole schools and districts using technology in there, and just having those examples, seeing what other people are doing. Of course, as educators, we're going to take a look and see like, how can I do that, but for my own classroom, or what's a forward-thinking way that I can use this tool to transform what I'm doing in the classroom. So great stuff just all around in here. If you need some things to read and really improve the way that you're using technology, I recommend that you take a look through this blog. But without further ado, top right-hand corner, I'm going to go and log in. You can do it through the usual way. I'm going to do it through Google, but remember you have Microsoft and just regular emails that you can sign in through here. You'll see the dashboard, which they've redesigned a little bit. The left side navigation bar is still essentially the same. At the top of my screen, I still have that library there, but down over here in the main dashboard view, you have I'd say a little more simplified version of the search functions that they had from before. First of all, if you just want to search for a very particular topic, you can, but they have these little subject buttons that I think are really nice on here. And I love the emphasis on not just the core classes here, like math and English and social studies, but they also have career ed, they got creative arts, they got health and PE. So loads of different options for you to look at. And I think it's especially good if you're trying to do any like cross curriculum type moves here. If you scroll down, you can see some templates from a bunch of different subjects, from things like poems, traditions, math, SMART goals. So really way of expanding what you think might be possible for quizzes. And they've even labeled them as quizzes and lessons, so you can see the difference between them. That way you don't have to like jump in and then check, and then you find out, oh, this is a lesson when I really need the quiz. So pretty nice. And of course, they've kept the topics here, like math and English, so you can sort them. Kind of reminds me of looking through like a streaming service catalog. On here you just have the different sections, and you want to scroll through and see what you can actually use on here. So yes, you could scroll for a bit and take a look at what's being created here. But if I click on one of these buttons, like let's do languages, that sounds fun. Let's do Spanish. You can see the new search interface. You can scroll through, you can filter this down on the top left-hand corner by quizzes and lessons, easily switch between them. And if you want to see what they're about, if you hover over, yes, thank you. Thanks for the tooltip. If you hover over any of these, you can see on the right-hand side that I get preview questions here on the right-hand side, so I could scroll through. I can even click play and start it as a live quiz or sign up from homework straight directly from here, which is pretty nice that you can go through that and you don't have to actually save a bunch of those things, although that option is still there. You'll see on the bottom right-hand corner of each one of those quizzes that you can do that. Now, something that I want to point out, but is actually locked under the premium features, but you can add questions. So this way you can synthesize a fresh quiz or lesson based off of the content that's here. So if I click on add question here and then add question in a different quiz, it will start pulling together those questions in a single quiz inside of a draft. Like I said before, unfortunately, it's a premium feature, but something to consider if you're thinking about going that far. Anyways, I think this is a great time to switch over to lessons. So top left-hand corner, I'm going to click the create button. And you have a couple of options here. So let me take a real quick swig of water. And as you see, they'd added a few graphics so you can see what's possible on here. Like if you're looking through the quiz, it gives you this kind of like Instagram-y view of the different features inside of here, which I think is really nice, especially if you're unfamiliar with what some of these things do. You can take a look through, and I can select lesson. Now, something that I can do, you'll see at the very bottom of the screen of the pop-up here, I can import from Google Forms and Slides. So when you do this for the first time, as usual, it will ask you for permission on being able to take things from your account and put them inside of quizzes. So do keep that in mind. You do have to go through those initial steps here and there. I've already done it for this account, so I can't really show you first thing, but trust me, it's there. I'm going to click on lessons. And it is going to take me back here for some reason. Let's try that again, ladies and gentlemen. Lessons. There we go. That's what I want. From here, you can start either from scratch. I just throw a slide on there, and that's a good place to start. Or you can import slides from Google Drive. And this is fantastic because that way you can have templates of things, but add different levels of activities and things to interact with for your students, which is a great way to really pump up the usefulness of things that you've already created or things that you've gotten from others. So I'm going to do what I always recommend everybody do, especially on like Google tools that you have here. Top left-hand corner, let's give this a title. That way not everything, my library isn't going to be filled with untitled lessons here. So I'm just going to say OPSRC Tech Talks example. There we go, something nice, but at least it's not that untitled business. I'm going to go down to where it says add a new slide. Let's click on that. You'll get a little slide out menu. So if you want to add something into your lessons, just like before, you will have the ability to select things from this left navigation. Thank you, tooltip. I appreciate that. Now you have different slide types. We have 6 of them. We got the blank slides. Pretty straightforward business here. Oh, I selected it. My bad. That is fine. And I'm going to click on add a new slide so you can look at the other ones. Or not. Like, it's not going to let me do it. Where are my slides at? Come on. Be nice to me. All right, I'll delete you then. That's fine. But I can click things like text slides. And when I do that, see, this is what I wanted. It will automatically pull you down to where the templates are. So this is a nice way that you can get some color style coordination. Yeah, it's a tad distracting if you have like different fonts, different colors, different styles from page to page. So this is a nice way to give your lessons an identity, and that way it will be less distracting, but it still gives you that color, that pop, that personality there. And so you can change your headers here just to see what they like. And if you find something you like, you can just click inside of this text and start typing. You can get crazy on here. And so it's real easy to jump in there once you've already created this business. Okay, there we go. All right. And if you want to change your themes, like if this purple's not doing it for you, you can click change theme, and you have a bunch of different themes that you can change. So a little bit of a variation on each one, and you can choose different color palettes on here, and you can apply it to this slide, or you can select this arrow right next to apply this slide and say apply to all. So this is typically what you would do at the end. So this is kind of a cool, I don't know, technology matrixy thing that I got going on. It looks neat. So that feels like a good slide that I can have here. On the left-hand side, I also have some question types. So this is where your activities come in. You throw a couple slides in there, that's where your content is. And one other one that I want to point out is that you can try to have videos, but that is unfortunately under premium features, although you can slip in some links in there. So links work, but embedded, unfortunately, doesn't. So if you need to insert a link into a piece of text on here, you highlight it like you usually would, and at the top of the screen you can see the usual formatting options that we have up here, and you can click on insert link and then go from there. So yeah, if you're looking for the embed video situation, that's a way that you kind of get around that. And you can also see under select question types for the slides on my left-hand side over here, we do have a couple of them locked into premium features, which is unfortunate, especially the video response type of stuff. I love that in terms of accessibility. Unfortunately, you're left with multiple choice, fill in the blank, polls open-ended, and draw types of questions on here. So if you want to do any of these interactives, you just select them, and they're inserted into your slides as a interactive slide that you have here. And that is essentially all you really need to do. You type in whatever your question is, you let them have a blank or an image. Background really just kind of depends on what type of lesson that you have here, or what type of activity that you want to do on here. And then you go from there. Cool. Okay. Go back to slides. Oh, well, not slides. All right. One last thing is in terms of content, like if you're on a text section, like so, on the left-hand side, if you want to add anything, you just select it on the very far left navigation bar. So if you want to throw in text, like heading, body, bullets, you can do it from here. There's even a nice little math editor with all the little symbols that you probably would reasonably need for a K-12 situation. You have media. Unfortunately, the video and the audio is locked on the premium, but at least you can add images, which is quite nice. If you're using your own images, no problem. If you're searching for images on here, there's actually, I think it's like a 10 image limit. Yeah, 10 free images on here, which is kind of unfortunate here. But if you want to throw a puppy in there, you can. We got our basic shapes. And then simple tables, you just input how many rows you want, how many columns you want, and then insert, and it spits it out on there. Okay. Once you're done with the lesson, on the top right-hand corner, you can click preview to see what it looks like, slide views. You can click on settings, which you can make adjustments like its name, the subject, the grade, like make it a little bit easier for people to search for it. If you want that to happen, and then when I'm done, I can click on save. If there's something funky going on, like you didn't finish filling out a question, it will at least let you know. That way, it will be harder for your lessons to be interacted with when at least the actionable pieces aren't working. All right. I think that is enough for Quizizz, at least the lesson portion on here. Once you save, you'll be taken to a page that looks very much like this. If you want to assign it, which I don't know if they'll let me do it on this because I messed it up. Oh, no, it will. It's just not saved. I think I'm in a draft mode situation here. But if I want to assign this lesson as homework instead of doing it as an instructor-led type situation, you just navigate to the page for what you want to assign, click on Assign Homework, give it a deadline. By default, I believe it's the next day, 24 hours from here. So you can click on Change Deadline, opens up a little drop-down menu. Then you can click on the calendar symbol, and you can extend the deadline, like I said, up to 2 weeks. Any further, and you would need to have a premium account on there. If you scroll down a little bit, you can adjust things like give people like fun quizzes generated names. Now, I think that's good if you don't want students to have accounts on there. Like if they're real small and you don't want them to manage that, that's perfectly fine. Otherwise, you want to leave that unchecked because typically if you're assigning this out, especially if you're using the classes features, if you're assigning that out, then you want students to essentially have a profile that you can go back and check and do reports on. But something I did want to point out, as far as if you're assigning this as an asynchronous lesson here, I recommend that you turn off the timer and turn off the leaderboard. They don't need that. The idea is if it's going to be a self-paced situation, they really shouldn't feel the burn of a timer on there. And then continue. Hooray! From there, you can invite people using the code, or you can copy the link. It's the same deal as you typically would, even if students did inside of class anyway. So there's that. Okay, I got a few more minutes. What I would love to show is on the left-hand side, the reports features. And I'm going to go through something that I know actually has stuff in it. I want to say it's this one. Oh, sweet. It's the one we did the other day. I know there was something that I had. I think it's this one. Yeah. Okay, it has a little bit of stuff in here. But if you click on reports, I highly recommend that you use this data over here. It's already created for you automatically. I really didn't have to do anything. I just had to have it created, and then my students go through it, and then you have this information to work with on here. So it's quite nice. You have different tabs that you can switch through, from participants view, which shows you how each person did, what questions they got right, which ones they got wrong, which one they didn't answer, what their score is on there. I can click on questions, which gives me a nice view on how people did on each question, so I can see as a whole what content do I need to revisit on here? What's something that people are missing, or what are some common misconceptions that my students are really being tripped up on? Or you could do an overview type view where you can look at it like a bird's eye view type situation. So these are really useful for you to be able to look through and inform your instruction from here. I think these features are probably more well used when you can compare data points. I think that's best done through classes. Unfortunately, it's part of the reason why I'm not going to cover classes in this particular tech talk. If you want to do that, you essentially have to create your own class and then fill it in from here. Otherwise, it won't sync with, like, if you're using Google Classroom, for example, and you import your classroom into that, if you select that class, you can assign things to the class, but you can't actually look at the reports here without having a district-wide account on here. So that is locked under a paywall there. So if you want to have access to those reports and those different data points, you would have to do it through a custom class on here. And then you can still have students log in with their Google accounts, but this requires a bit more doing than before to really get the most out of these features here. But I have less than a minute here. Thank you so much. If you've listened to me chat about Quizizz again, hopefully this is giving you some more ideas, or maybe this is giving you some reason to revisit this tool. I think there's a lot of really great features inside of here and some great resources that they've given to make it just a little bit more easier to use the tool or extend its use here. I have a page filled with goodies that I think you should take a look at. Below that, we have the technology integration. I didn't really get a chance to talk about this. I have talked a bit about it for the first one, but I just wanted to leave this here just in case you want to have a better idea of how you can plan to use your technology tools a little better. And we have this last page. Thank you so much. If you like what I do here, please take a moment to go through that evaluation. I have the link right here, and a QR code takes you to the same place. I've been Kushan Hopkins. I'm joined here with Kurt Bernhardt. Thank you so much, Kurt. We have our emails down there if you want to have a chat with us about the different tools we have here, technology in general. Just reach out to us at techteam@opsrc.net. And if you like what I do here, you can go to opsrc.net/tech talks. And if you want to connect to our community at large, we have some fantastic stuff that's coming out of our member schools on here, and we would love to highlight that stuff. So reach out to us through these little social media buttons and get yourself connected. But with that, thank you so much, everybody, one last time, and I hope you have a great day.